Hello everyone, I am Seven, and my inquiry project during my recent placement focused on emotional literacy. I noticed that early on that while the children in my group were really good at playing, many of them struggled significantly when big feelings hit them, whether that was anger during a conflict or feeling overwhelmed during transitions. So my project is focusing on the children's emotional regulation. My inquiry began with the observation. I noticed that the two specific triggers in the room are the transition from school to kinder, and when that happened, children often arrive overstimulated and tired. Secondly, when conflicts happen, children went from 0 to 100 instantly. They didn't have the vocabulary to say they are frustrated before they started shouting or hitting. I realized that they didn't know what to do with these big energy shifts. This leads me to the specific inquiry questions. How can I help children to know what to do when experiencing big emotions? I didn't just want them to stop crying or yelling. I wanted to give them the tools to understand the feeling and regulate it themselves. To answer this question, I developed a 3-week action plan focusing on 3 stages of emotional literacy: recognition, regulation, and expression. In week 3, I focused on giving them vocabulary to identify anger using storybooks, especially with the one called the Red Beets. In week 4, I implemented physical strategies for self-regulating using a quiet time corner. And in week 5, I focused on active expressions through drama and role-play activities. So for week 3 findings, I started reading a lot of storybooks about emotional. We discussed how emotion feels like, especially with anger, how anger feels like a beast waking up inside us, and it has great response. The metaphor allowed the children to externalize their anger. Instead of saying I'm bad, they could say my beast is growing. I even overheard one student tell a friend, "Stop, you're waking up my beast." It gave them a non-confrontational way to set boundaries. And in week 4, I addressed the school transitions emotional difficulty. I set up a quiet space with teddies and calming music. So my key finding here was that resources alone aren't enough. The first day, the children was not using it at all. I had to scaffold the process. When I saw a child looking overwhelmed, I asked, "Would you like a moment with the teddy?" Once they tried it and felt the relief, they began to use it more independently. Another child went to the corner on his own later in the week after a loud play sessions. So finally in week 5, we have an activity where the children can act out on emotions and other friends would guess. I observed that the children were surprisingly excellent at reading body language. So when a peer stomped their feet, the class immediately yelled angry. So through the game, children are to analyze the emotion and translate it into actions, and they also learn how to identify how feelings looks on someone else. Reflecting on the whole process, I learned 3 main things. First, metaphors are crucial because they make scary feelings manageable. Secondly, provide a calm corner doesn't just work unless the teacher models how to and when to use it for the children. And third, children learn emotions through their bodies. So by holding a teddy or stomping their feet really help the process. And third, children learn emotion with physical activities. With holding a teddy or stomping their feet really helps them to process feelings better than just sitting and listening. Moving forward with my practice, I will keep the calm corner as a permanent setup, not just for transitions, but for any time the children feeling more negative feelings. I also plan to expand my vocabulary to more big words like frustrated, nervous. That is the end of my presentation about the inquiry project. Thank you so much for listening.